What's going on, everybody? What a crazy news day in Orlando. I was actually not even supposed to be here. I was supposed to be in Texas. Then I ended up getting an early flight home, and I started coming down with a cold. And I'm like, I'm probably just not gonna. I didn't have a show planned, but now I'm probably gonna do a show because of all this news coming out. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. There's lots to talk about today, really around Disney not coming to the Lake Nona area, and what does this actually mean for people who live in Orlando and the Lake Nona area, and what actually is going to happen to that area and the surrounding area. Like, even if you don't live in Orlando, or if you don't live in Lake Nona proper, and you're like, hey, um, you want better places to eat, you want places to be a little bit nicer. And so we're going to get into some of that stuff tonight, and then talk about where we're at as a real estate market in that area, and how I think having these jobs not come may or may not affect the area. That'll be an interesting one. But let me just get into a couple places. First and foremost, where are you guys watching from tonight? I'm definitely curious, as always, because it's curious to me. Are you guys just coming here to listen to the Disney news? I also have some Universal news that I'm excited about, and some other things. It'll probably be a shorter show tonight, probably 15, 20 minutes, because again, it wasn't planned. And I'm kind of fighting through, but I wanted to get talking about this and hear from you guys. What did you guys think about the news that came in here? But DCL Dan says, for what's going on from Hunters Creek. We've got Tulio checking in from Connecticut. We got Chris. What's up, my friend? Good to see you. Good to see you very much so. Charity Jennings, Olaf from Phoenix. Good to see you. Mr. Michael from Sad Lake Nona. We got Poke Twins from Eagle Creek. So that's in Lake Nona, or just Lake Nona adjacent, recently moved from Chicago. I had a really good question from somebody in my DMs on Instagram who lives in Eagle Creek, and I'm actually going to talk a little bit about that tonight as well. Brett checking in from Palm Beach. I appreciate that very much. Peter and Emily checking in from Ontario, Canada. So we got a little bit from everybody over here today, so I'm excited about it. So Jonathan says, breaking news, LOL. It kind of is breaking news, although it did happen a little while ago. All right, so if you guys haven't heard already, Disney has been on the fence about moving their whole campus, or a campus, to the Lake Nona area, which is over by the airport. If you're not familiar with what area this is or that I'm talking about, but it's basically this really high-tech healthcare, aviation, national defense kind of area that has been a hub of tech innovation for the past 5 to 8 years in Orlando. And then about 2 years ago, 18 months ago, Disney announced, hey, we're going to build $1 billion campus there. We're going to relocate 2,000 people from California to Orlando, and Orlando rejoices. Because here's the thing, it's not people that are sweeping the floors at Disney, which there's nothing wrong with that. We need those people, but these were going to be higher paying jobs, 6-figure plus. And when you add those kind of jobs into an area, in my opinion, it can only improve. Housing value goes up. More stuff comes in the area because you need places for them to go shopping and to eat and to have recreation and all that sort of thing. And so it was exciting. But last June in 2022, Disney announced, hey, we're actually going to pause and what's going on. This was before as much was going on with DeSantis and Disney. But they said, hey, listen, based on everything going on right now in the climate, we're just going to pause. And instead of coming in 2022, 2023, maybe we'll come in 25, 26, but we're definitely still coming. And I remember getting interviewed by Fox 35 Orlando at the time, because they reached out and they said, hey, how does this affect your real estate business? And it actually did quite a bit. I had a lot of executives and people in Disney or even were moving here just because they had heard what was going on with Disney, that were coming to the area because of this. And many of them said, hey, if I don't have to be here in 2025, 26, I'm going to stay in California and just kind of see what happens. But many people did. Many people moved and said, hey, listen, I know it's coming, and I want to just get ready, get my kids settled, and learn Orlando and that sort of thing. And so Josh DeMauro, he's the chairman of Parks and Entertainment. He actually came out and said, hey, if you guys moved from California to Orlando, and we're going to, on an individual basis, if you want to come back, we can talk about that. I've been texting with clients of mine that actually did make the move, and many of them said, no, we love Orlando. We love the pace of life. We love everything that's going on right now. And it's kind of exciting. So I'm excited, either way. I think what Lake Nona is going on is amazing, but I just was always very hesitant to see what was actually going to happen with the Lake Nona move, because in June last year, they paused it, and then it just kept getting farther and farther away. So if you think about kind of what's going on with Disney's stock price, the big thing people ask is this going to be politically motivated that they're not moving here, or is this financially? And I would probably say it's both. You look at their stock price over the past 2 years, it's $197 in 2021, and has been sliding back for the past 2 years ever since. And so all the way down to $93. So they're down 52, 53% in those 2 years. And then on top of closing or not going forward with this whole this new campus, they also announced like 30 minutes after that they're going to be closing the Galactic Starcruiser, which is an amazing experience. It's actually going to be closing up in September. And if you don't know, it's a 2-day hotel experience. And you got food that's included, and there's actors and there's singers. And it's basically one of the coolest experiences ever. My family and I, we got to experience this last year. One of the first times it was actually open. So gosh, maybe it was, a little bit over a year ago. First weeks it was open, and it's incredible. It's a lot of money though. It's like depending on how many people are in your family, it's like $5,000 to $6,000 for a 2-day experience. Now it's just not a hotel, it's 100 rooms. Then you've got actors, and then you've got food, and then you've got your day out in Beth too. And there's a lot of things going on there, but it's been losing money since day one, I would guess. They've been giving out new like coupons for the past 60 days, people that could, downgrade their experience for 30% off or something like that. But it didn't include like alcohol. It didn't include a lot of things. You didn't get a lightsaber or any of that kind of stuff. You had to pay on top. And so people said, this premium experience, can it actually make it in our current climate now that people are pulling back? And so you see the campus close, you see the Starcruiser close, you see them kind of cutting things here and there. They're rolling Hulu into Disney Plus. I think more than anything, this is a political or a financial thing more than a political thing. But don't allow this to go by without talking about politics is kind of what I feel, right? I did actually reach out to the city of Orlando, and I got something back from Buddy Dyer. And he said, hey, it said, so this is from Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer. He said, as a city, we're disappointed whenever a business chooses not to expand here or locate to Orlando. That's no different here with today's news related to Disney. But then you go to like Ron DeSantis, and there's always this conversation back and forth between what's going on with him and Disney. And this isn't a political show. I'm very right down the middle. Most people guess that I'm one way. In my DMs over on Instagram, they're like, are you Republican? And then other people are like, are you Democrat? We can't tell. And I'm hoping to always stay that way, because I would really rather just talk about facts. But in the comment section of a lot of the reels that we put out, it's very neutralized. People are like, oh, obviously this is because of DeSantis. And then other people are like, well, no, obviously it's because of their financial woes. So let me know down below. What do you guys think? And I'd love to hear from you guys. So Nima, what's going on? Good to see you. I'm checking with a couple of people here if you're listening back to the podcast. So thanks, Ken, for the Disney update regarding Orlando. Yeah, of course. Been between the undocumented construction force having to leave and Disney is a battle. Curious to see how the economy it changes. Yeah, there's an interesting thing. So the whole construction industry was rocked over the past month or so because they have new laws that have to do with undocumented workers. And a lot of these construction sites, there's photos coming out all over Twitter where there used to be hundreds of people working on a project, and then this new law came out, and then all of a sudden there's no workers on site. And how is that going to affect an already stressed job labor market that we have here? And what will that do to construction in the future? That's going to be a very interesting conversation as this goes on, for sure. Mr. Orlando Bob says, what's going on from Bithlo? Appreciate that. Fallon is checking in from Ignite. I know that world. Crime is everywhere, Disda, but not just in the business friendly. People are pouring out into Florida. Let's see. Clavis says Iger isn't interested in boutique experiences. Yeah, dude, you're right. So going back to the Starcruiser, that's a really great point. And so when you find a project that is as niche as the Starcruiser, and you're spending that much money for people that have to be really big Star Wars fans. Now, listen, it had the highest, I read this on Twitter this evening based on some releases from the company. It had the highest customer satisfaction out of any Disney experience ever. But it was a very small subset of people that were able to afford it and go there and spend the time and that sort of thing. What I think Iger would like was let's have this be a little bit more broad-based. Let's have more people be able to afford it. And even if you're making less on an experience, but you're able to get a lot more people to engage, that's a more sustainable business model. And I agree. I don't think Iger's a dummy. I don't think so at all. I think a lot of these moves are calculated, and I think it's going to be a good thing. So I go back to 2 years ago, before this was even announced, what was going on in Lake Nona. Lake Nona was tech and healthcare, and they had the VA hospital, and you had aviation there, and there's a lot of higher end experiences coming. And I think that's still going to move forward. Is it going to be as fast as it was with Disney moving there? Probably not, but will it eventually get there? I definitely think so. Especially when you think about how it's not theme park at all over in Lake Nona. It's all like blue collar, national defense, aviation, that kind of stuff. So what's going on, Anthony? Checking in, Pulte. Appreciate you, my buddy. Good to see you. Let's see. There's a lot of other people checking in. I hate missing comments, but I want to make sure I get it. Jonathan says Tavistock must be reeling a bit from that decision. I would imagine. I mean, you got a $1 billion thing coming. If it seems like an easy button when you've got 2,000 jobs coming to an area, someone spending $1 billion. Yeah, of course. Somebody mentioned this earlier, and I'm going to dig in after the show tonight. I'm going to find out because someone said, "Hey, well, Disney already bought the land." I don't think they did. I think that they probably had an option on it, and they said, "Hey, as long as we get through due diligence and approvals and on and on and on, as soon as we get that done, then we'll actually close on the land." So my guess is that they don't actually physically own that land. I don't know for sure, but I'm going to be jumping in there a little bit. I heard from this. Let me talk about just finalizing what's going on in Lake Nona right now, as it stands, without all of these $100,000 plus jobs coming to the area. What's going on in the Lake Nona market? And I think this is an interesting one because right now, in all of Lake Nona, which is 32827, and then I would consider its sister zip code, which is like right next door. That's Eagle Creek. That's Moss Park, kind of the surrounding feeder neighborhoods into Lake Nona. There's only 220 homes, townhomes, and condos for sale. And last month, there were 101 that actually sold, which means there's like a 2-month supply of homes. That's a really healthy market. You start dumping a bunch more jobs in the area, and all of a sudden that gets to be very competitive and prices go up very quickly. So I think, listen, Lake Nona is doing okay already. I don't think it's going to go up as fast, but I don't think it's going to go down because it's a really healthy market in general. Let's go over talk about real quick, and then we'll go back to some other things here, and I'll get to some of your questions. By the way, we don't have to always just talk about Disney and Lake Nona tonight, although those are the two big things for tonight. We have questions. Make sure you drop them down below. I'm going to be hanging out at least for another 5 minutes and chat with you. But Universal came out today and they had a news release. It was Jurassic. They're going to go hard after Jurassic Park over the next in May and coming out in June. I'm really actually quite excited about this. They're going to add a Jurassic Park tribute store. They're going to do Jurassic themed menus at different places around town. And then they're going to have Jurassic Park film screenings at Universal Cinemark in City Walk. So I'm excited about that. I'm a massive Jurassic Park fan, especially the original ones. And then I definitely do like the Jurassic World with Chris Pratt as well. But yeah, this is really cool coming out. I'm excited to see when they do throwback stuff like this and the tribute stores change. That's one of my favorite things that Universal does. They do it around Halloween Horror Nights, the tribute store. There's been a lot of really cool ones around Mardi Gras. So I think it's very, very cool. All right, let's get over to your questions. Do I think that Bob is planning a highly affordable grand reopening of the cruiser, being that he has to make a huge construction cost back? That's a good question, Kelly. I think so. When I think about the Starcruiser and what it could potentially be, I think that if it's only 100 rooms and where it sits right there in Batu, wouldn't it be cool to just have a really nice hotel? I mean, think about it this way. The Grand Floridian is already $1,000 a night, $800 to $1,200 a night, depending on what you have. So the Starcruiser itself is $5,000 to $6,000 for those 2 nights. If that's the case, and you can cut the price in half and just make it a nice hotel without the entertainment and all the frills that it has, you'd think it would fill up very quickly. If people had access to Hollywood Studios in the morning and they could just walk on over, that would be really cool. And I think it would do really, really well. Very similar to over in Disneyland, where you've got the Grand California, and that's right there in the park. So why not? Like, I think if they just turn it into a regular hotel that's heavily themed with Star Wars, you're gonna have enough people that are willing to spend the same money that they would have over at the Grand Floridian, which has no issues packing out. I mean, they've got the new Polynesian DVC going in already. So I think this would make a lot of sense to keep it, make it a hotel. If not, like, I don't know what else they would theme it as. But let me know what you guys think down below. Yeah, there you go. So ABC or ABS Production says, yes, Starcruiser Hotel with early access in the AM and Star Wars character dining, something like that. I think there's a way that they can salvage the building and what it is, which is remarkable. I mean, for those of you who haven't gone and if you haven't watched all the videos, I mean, your hotel room has what it was probably a 120-inch screen that when somebody over on the bridge hits go to warp speed, all the way down the hallway in your room, you see the lights go by. And so somebody's been kind of playing up on the bridge. There's just all of these like really high detailed work that you just hate to see disappear. I just don't see it happening. Um, Universal says, or Robert says, Universal is not going to keep the tourists coming like Disney. I don't know. I mean, I think, again, for the longest time, I used to say, is it Disney versus Disney versus Universal? I think Universal is trying to do their own thing. Like they don't have to worry about the Reedy Creek drama. They just get to keep their head down and keep adding to new parks, adding new experiences. I think that's really, really cool. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Jonathan says, kids are out of school. Any plans? We're probably going to visit some family, but really hanging around here. I mean, right now is getting into the best time of the year in Florida, which is pool weather, theme park weather. You hit the beach. It's like my favorite time. And we plan on really going hard after the family time this summer. What about you, man? Let me know down below. Robert says people are going to be looking to move out of Lake Nona because they think that they're betting on Disney to build there. Listen, we sell a lot of houses. I do. For those of you watching that don't know, like I'm a real estate agent. I've got a real estate team. We help a lot of people in Lake Nona. And I would say that maybe a few of them moved there because Disney was coming, but it's a very small percentage. Most of them, they just want the amenities of Lake Nona and the amenities of being super close to the airport and only 30 minutes away from the theme parks. That's the majority of the people that we help relocate there. And I wouldn't see that this is any different. Autumn says that the Disney jobs don't pay much. Well, I mean, listen, they're six-figure jobs. On average, people are going to be making over $120,000 a year in Lake Nona. So again, it's not the 17-hour theme park jobs. It's a little bit more consequential than that. Hey, Howdy Hey says Disney's playing both California and Florida. Listen, I don't think you're wrong. And they need to at this point. I think Bob Iger looks around and says, hey, our stock is down 50% and we're in a weird business climate in general. Let's see where we can get the best deal. And Kevin Newsom over in over in California is probably going to welcome them and say, hey, what do we need to do to make sure that you guys stay and you're happy? What's up, Chris? Coffee in the house. Always good to see you, my friend. Pokey Twin says, maybe the prices will go down in Lake Nona. What do you think? Again, I don't think so just yet. I mean, based on its data of what's going on today. And listen, I own a townhome there as an investment property. The prices went up so fast. I never expected them to do that. But do I think that they're going to drop off like a cliff? I don't think so. All right. I know I missed a bunch of other questions, so feel free to restate it if you need to. Here's a good question from Victoria. Is there a Canadian snowbird neighborhood near Walt Disney World? Future Canadian retiree. Well, that's exciting for you, by the way. I would say they're everywhere. Like the biggest countries that we have that help relocate here are Canada, the UK, and Brazil. That seems to be a lot of the people that we have. A lot of Canadians moving here. We've got Canadians I got 3 Canadians on my team actually that relocated here from Canada, and they go all over. Some people want to be in the midst of the theme parks. Other people just want the weather, and so I wouldn't say there's any like really great little cluster of them, but Orlando has a very high concentration of people from around the world. Dro, am I a hockey guy? Man, I'm not. I grew up a Red Wings fan in Detroit, and they had a really great run, 97, 98, and kind of fell off. And I just kind of stopped watching after a while. Q asks, when am I going to start doing a video on West Side? West Side is, there's a lot of neighborhoods over there. I want something else other than neighborhoods. I think it's great for, 4 or 5 Pulte neighborhoods and Mattamy and a couple cool things happening over there. But here's one video that is coming soon. I'm excited to shoot this next week. Actually, we're going to do a video about 192 and show the good parts and the bad, because there's actually some really amazing stuff going on 192. Everything from Margaritaville. There's World Star, which I drove by that the other day and it blew my mind because it had probably been 60 days or so since I had driven by there, and to see what's like finally open. You can see Animal Kingdom right from 192 in this one area, but there's some really crappy areas of 192 as well. So we're going to be doing a video to show kind of like the before and after and what's coming and that kind of thing. We also did one over on Icon Park and, or not Icon Park, but iDrive, and showing everything that's coming up down there. I don't know if you guys know, there's like $4.2 billion in renovations and add-ons to iDrive that are coming. And then if we get the baseball team here, that's another, $1 billion. There's a lot of stuff going on iDrive to kind of play off of Epic Universe that I'm really excited about. Jonathan says we have a family condo in Marco Island, planning on visit there. Dude, Jonathan, Marco Island's our favorite spot. Like the JW just got renovated down there. It's beautiful. The beach is quiet, clean, not like easy to walk in, walk on. It's a sleepy town. You can pop up to Naples if you want. We love that place so much. There's so many cool things going on. Tony says, hello, future Sunbridger here. So let me know what you think, Tony, down below in the comments. Like, what do you think about Sunbridge with Disney not coming to Lake Nona? Are you nervous at all with Sunbridge? I'm personally not. That's another video we have in the pipeline over the next 3 weeks, I think it is. Meeting with some of the people who are building out from Tavistock, building out Sunbridge, showing the future, why they chose a location, all that kind of stuff. Very excited quite a bit. Modi says, is St. Cloud a good area to look into? St. Cloud's huge, by the way. I mean, Sunbridge, which we were just talking about, great location in terms of like in St. Cloud because it's close to Orlando and like close to amenities. The deeper you get, it can get a little rural. And then the downtown area over there is quite cute. Harmony is another cute kind of area, golf course area. But yeah, it just depends. Like traffic's a little tough to get in and out. And so just keep in mind that you're going to save on the financial upside of buying in Sunbridge. It's going to be, or not Sunbridge, in St. Cloud in general, it's going to be a little less expensive than Kissimmee and Orlando, but you're gonna have to drive to get there. So if you work from home or you work close by, amazing opportunity. Kelly, yeah. So what I'm saying, so he says, so what you're saying is Lake Nona is definitely a great spot to establish long-term rental properties. Yeah, 100%. I mean, they don't allow short-term rentals at all. And there's a really great, it's like upper socioeconomic area to begin with. And so you've got a lot of doctors and business owners and people that work at KPMG and people that work for all these other tech firms and aviation firms in the area. And so we've got a lot of people that do very well renting there as an investment. Brooke says she thinks that Sunbridge is a better product than Lake Nona. Brooke, I'll be honest with you. I think that often. Now, if it's a little bit, again, it's 10 minutes farther, 15 minutes farther, but it's beautiful. And when they have the marina finally go in and you're farther from the airport, there's a lot to love about Sunbridge. And they've got multiple builders in there that are all quality. You've got the Tesla solar roofs. You've got a lot of that cool stuff coming. Now you have to believe in the area. You have to believe that it's going to continue to go up because it's like a 20 to 25 year plan. But I would bet in the next 4 to 5, that place is going to be like the it spot to be. Now, Lake Nona is a little bit closer to the airport, closer to amenities, a little bit farther along. So it's just kind of like pick your poison. Which one do you like? Pick your poisons, not pick your options is probably a better way to say it. Sorry, just going through a lot of these questions. So James says, any new Crystal Lagoon communities in the 5 counties? So there's the new, I mean, it's not, you can't buy a house there, unfortunately, but the new the Crystal Lagoon that actually holds the name, the trademark Crystal Lagoon, because apparently I learned this from a developer, was that it was going to come to Lake Nona. Now it's not. Now it's actually going to be over in the Evermore Resort off of 535 over by Disney Springs. That's going to be like the actual first Crystal Lagoon that we have. And they're going to have Airbnb kind of townhomes and single family properties over there, but not anything else that's been announced that's actually going to have like the Crystal Lagoon. So Tony, this is another question. So, and somebody mentioned that they lived in Eagle Creek earlier in the show tonight. The only thing I'm hoping for is road improvements, access to the highway, and improved traffic flow on Narcoossee. So they are bringing through Osceola Parkway, and many people don't know that that's actually going to continue on through up and over Eagle Creek. And so I'll show you here on the map if you guys want to watch on YouTube. For the people listening back to the podcast, it's basically if you go off of 417 and you get off on Narcoossee and go down. Right now, the only way to get on and off is Boggy Creek and Narcoossee. It can be a little crazy trying to get up and down in there. Let's see if we can't see it over here. But as this Osceola Parkway kind of fills out, it's going to be quite nice and easy to get through. And so people were asking, does this mean that Eagle Creek, you're going to be able to hear the road noise? It's definitely a possibility. Here, let me show you. There you go. Good question, Tony. So yeah, you've got all of these new road expansions coming through here, which I think are going to be quite nice just from an accessibility standpoint. If you're thinking about Sunbridge, if you're thinking about Lake Nona, any of that area up and over. But so right now you've got this this yellow kind of coming down off of here, and then we'll eventually flow in here. The green part will go all the way through and off into Osceola County and over by Eagle Creek. And so this is going to be your probably 5 to 7 year plan. And up to the north here, you got 417. So all of these roads are going to make that area really accessible over the next, call it 4 to 7 years. And so that's really going to be a key, because right now that's the main complaint. People that want to live down that area, Lake Nona, Sunbridge, St. Cloud, all the way down in those areas, is that traffic, especially around school times when you've got school bus stops or people trying to get in and out of, say, the gated neighborhood of Eagle Creek. All of those things are maybe somewhat prohibitive. They have made like new turn lanes and they've kind of cleaned it up a little bit, but it's still got some work to go. So yeah, I think over the next few years, as these roads continue, they've already been funded. Many of them have already been started. It's going to be a really great area. So hope you enjoy that. Nick asks, is the Olympus area in Claremont still happening? It is. They're just fortunately, they're building the residential parts first. That's one of the reasons that originally drew me to like the Lake Nona area. And it sounds like a fanboy, because I am. And yeah, we own investment properties there, but it's just different than everything else. I'm a huge fan of what's coming to Claremont, though. And I've been talking about Claremont now for the past 2 years, because I think that is like the next frontier, especially off to the west. But Olympus is kind of building all the houses first, a little bit of restaurants, a little bit of hospitals. And then once that gets built up, then they'll be dropping in the hockey rink and a lot of the Olympic training centers and national training centers and that sort of thing out that way. And so there's the master plan for that. I think they're just putting together all of the money, and money's expensive right now. And so I think that as the next 2 years kind of go by, hopefully interest rates come down and there's going to be people a little bit more bullish to move forward on those projects. But right now, the ones that are the residential. So you're going to see a lot more neighborhoods pop up and down 27. And I think that's a good thing. Like, we need more housing stock out that way. But in terms of like the promise of everything that's going on with Olympus, I do believe it's going to take a little bit longer. All right. Yeah, Jeff Jean says that's much needed relief. Charles is checking in. Carlos checking in from Davenport. Lots of people from all over checking in, different states, different countries, different areas around Orlando. I really appreciate it, you guys. Give this video a thumbs up. I went a little bit longer than I expected to tonight, but I definitely wanted to get on and talk about something that I'm passionate about, which is theme parks and living in Orlando. Thank you guys for dropping in and just checking out asking some of your great questions. And we'll see you guys next week. Have an amazing Thursday. See you.